Today is Sunday, 3rd of August, and it's exactly 2 weeks until my first half Ironman race. And as you can imagine, this has been taking a huge chunk of my time from my weeks. And not just time, but energy as well. And I'm sure you have your own big personal commitments as well. But since you are on this channel, chances are that you are at this point, or one day you would like to run your own creative business, which means keeping your clients happy, managing projects, maybe recording content like this. And as much as both you and I would love to give 100% into everything, that's just not, unfortunately, how things work. So I would love to give you a snapshot of how I structure my weeks and balance all these trainings with all the business related stuff. And again, for me it can be sport, but for you it can be anything else or any other big personal goal that you have. So let's go. The one thing that I really enjoy about training pretty much for any type of race is that with the way you push yourself, you can never feel 100% recovered. So Mondays for me are actually full rest days because of the hard trainings on the weekends. On Saturdays, there is a long 15k run with an open water swimming. And then yesterday on Sunday, that's when you saw the intro, that was a long bike ride followed by a short brick run. So when I count it up, that's basically 7 hours of just training on the weekend. And yeah, that's the reason why Mondays for me are not just physical but also mental reset, which is super important for me. And you know, when you do something intense like this, I don't feel like it's about time management anymore and putting your tasks in a specific time block. I mean, if it works with you, that's great, just continue with that. But for me, I feel like it's much more about allocating the tasks based on my energy levels and understanding when I'm able to perform the hardest tasks. For example, I know 100% that Mondays are going to be the most productive days for me. So that's when I try to get ahead with the most important tasks that I set out for the week. You can see that over here I set out 3 columns and I have the biggest priority, then the medium priority, and then other tasks. And basically now what I'm going to do later on is that I will just go and knock every single tasks one by one. So that is how I go around my energy and keeping myself accountable to get things done even when I'm tired. Now I thought that it would be great to show you some behind the scenes of one of my client projects. So let's go. One of the client projects that I have got for this week is for a tattoo studio that is based in Denmark, and they really loved my Spotify animation and asked me if I could replicate this for their own brand. So this seems like a more of a straightforward project because I don't need to come up with any script or brainstorm and just make it relevant for the tattoo industry. So I'm planning to use like a tattoo gun instead of the musical notes, and then I expect to spend most of the time on nailing down the bounce effect because yeah, that's the main selling point of this animation. So I built out all the scenes, and what I tend to do for the majority of the projects is I record a quick walkthrough video where it's much easier for me to explain my entire thought process rather than trying to write everything in an email. And honestly, recording a 3-minute video is most of the times faster than writing an email. And I can tell you from experience that clients appreciate these videos a lot because they don't have to visualize anything based on the text that you write, but you immediately show it on screen. And this is a tip for you if you're not doing it yet. Set a specific number of revisions, let's say 2 or 3 rounds. It's gonna protect your time, trust me. Otherwise, the clients will just keep coming with more and more updates and you will have no power to defend yourself. So make sure to include the number of revisions in your scope of work. So Tuesdays for me are basically an easy run in the morning, as you can see. Now, but I also have a couple of hill sprints in there just to bring up the intensity. And then later in the afternoon, I'm gonna have a quick 1-hour bike session, which is gonna be quick, but it's more like on a hard gear, so it's gonna be more strength focused and more intense. And I would have 2 options. I could either do both of these sessions right after each other, similar to what I did on Sunday, but I don't want to repeat myself, so I did the opposite, and I'm sort of strategically putting both sessions at the end and at the beginning of my days. So now it's like 7 in the morning, so I just finished my run. And then the bike session is gonna be the last thing that I do in the day, so it's gonna be around, let's say, 6 p.m. And I would encourage you to try the same, to basically try to keep your working blocks as long as possible. Because if I went for the bike, let's say at 2 or 3 p.m., and then when I would come back, I would still have like, let's say 3 hours. But one, I would be too tired. And then two, it's just so hard to get into hard focus again. So that's why it's the last thing in my day. I just want to touch on yesterday's afternoon because we tried something completely new. You know, I've seen on social media those beautiful cinematic shots of cyclists and runners, and I thought, yeah, let's try that. So I asked my friend to drive and my brother was recording, and it was a hell of a fun. And as I said, it's something I've never tried before, and that's actually the point that I want to touch on. Because you've probably heard like close to 1 million people telling you how AI is going to replace you, and what I truly believe that can give you the edge in the long run is spreading this field of opportunities into as many directions as possible. For example, you are probably a creative, so let's say that you design a poster. You can take this poster and then you can learn how to animate it. Then you can add some photography and improve your Photoshop skills. Then maybe you would like to try to sell this poster, so you would have to learn how to create a basic website and practice some copywriting. And now you're practicing some sales skills. Eventually, you could record a video about your design process, and now you're starting to understand how to teach others. You see that behind just one thing can lie so many more skills and directions that you can explore. And this applies to everything. This applies to me signing up for a race I didn't even know about 1 year ago, and now I'm trying to create a video that I've never done before. And I think it was Hormozi who said about failing that you either grow or you learn. And that just sums it up perfectly, to just keep trying new things and keep building on what you've already got. Another training today is morning Wednesday, and we have an open water swimming session. And I'm nowhere near the level as I would like to, so these 2 kilometers should take me around 40 to 45 minutes. And swimming is definitely the trickiest part out of the 3 disciplines. I pretty much learned the correct technique like 8 months ago. And the actual race is going to be both alongside and then against the current of the river. So that's also going to add some of the difficulty. And to be completely honest, I feel both scared and curious how I'm gonna manage. I'm sure there's gonna be people who are gonna swim like 2 times faster than me. I'm probably gonna get kicked in my face. So I prefer not to expect much and be surprised rather than lying to myself that I'm gonna manage just fine. So you can now probably start seeing patterns that I put training as the first thing in my morning. So this is an overview of my current calendar. Obviously the client work is a non-negotiable and that always stays. But for the rest, you can see that my days have a specific theme. So for example, Tuesday is recording content and today I would be editing it. Of course, it's a bit different this week because I have to record every day for the purpose of this video. But overall, I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible and have just like 1 or 2 objectives for each specific day. And what really helps is that I can easily adjust the blogs depending on what's going on. So if I have a week packed with client work, I can shorten or completely remove some themes. So it gives me some kind of a framework, but it's still flexible. And that is the entire point when you're trying to achieve things on multiple fronts. You know, I used to think that I could finish 10 tasks per day, from writing the script to recording and editing it all the way to client work, but it rarely worked out. And I believe that making sure to finish one thing at 100% is way better than finishing 5 things at like 20%. So if you struggle to be productive, it might be worth to look at your calendar and see if you're not trying to do way too many things. I've got at least 1 strength session per week in this prep, and it's nothing about improving or growing my strength. That's not the main focus anyway, but it's more just about maintaining some kind of a baseline. And I start again early in the morning, and later at the end of the day, similar to Tuesday, I will have some running intervals. But yeah, now let's just have some fun. What I've been thinking about is that ever since I got a training plan for this Ironman, I stick to it for pretty much 100%, which has been the past 3 or 4 months. I had to make some adjustments like training on a city bike when I was in the Netherlands, but hey, I had to get it done somehow. And what this type of structure and specific deadlines gives you is something tangible that you can just blindly follow no matter what. But with building or starting a business, it's a little bit different. No one tells you exactly what to do, and you have to create your own plan with some kind of imaginary deadlines. And even then, you start to hit problems and you are much more likely to procrastinate and put things off. And because I see how disciplined I am with this prep, what I'm trying to do is to apply the exact same principles into other aspects of my life. So for example, I've been building my new website and I gave myself a deadline mid-August. So every day I spend 45 minutes working on it because I'm very well aware what I lose if I don't. I lose potential clients because they can't see my work, and that impacts my credibility and potentially my future. So understanding not just what you gain but what you lose if you don't commit is, at least for me, a strong driver. The bottom line is to understand what keeps you disciplined and just replicate it for other stuff. On Friday, I have a little bit more chill day because it's a preparation for the hard weekend. So I've got only one training session, which is bike intervals. And it's also a day when I do the majority of the admin. So I take like an hour to update my budget and expenses. I make sure that I reply to every single email. I send project follow-ups if that's necessary for any specific project. Reply to DMs on Instagram and stuff like that. Fridays are also days when I take some time to practice and improve my skills. At first it was courses, tutorials, but now most of the times it's just me working on some kind of animation idea that I've got, which I can then use to learn new techniques and just experiment. That's pretty much how I came up with all the tutorials that you can find on my channel. But this time I thought it would be interesting to create an ad for the new running shoes that I built for this race. Those are Adidas Adios Pro 4. Obviously I've already got quite a lot of footage for this, so that helps. And this is something that I believe is a must for every creative. Like, you need to find time to practice and learn new stuff, because that is how you can provide better value for your clients and just in general stay relevant, especially nowadays in the AI age. So please take some time for yourself to just play around and learn what you actually want. Today I had 15k run in the morning, and now I just finished an open water swim. And to close this week and basically the entire video, I wanna leave you with just one thing. Don't waste too much time on strategy, or should I say waiting for the right moment for something that you know that can move you forward. This worked out for me personally when I started freelance, when I started preparing for this race, or even when I moved to a new country. Of course, it's important to double down on what you know that works and try to reiterate on what doesn't. But in the end, the only way to find out is to build that first layer of experience. It's actually the same with this video. Maybe it's gonna flop and get just 100 views, but it was still an awesome way to learn something new. I learned a new type of content, I practiced some cinematography, I feel again a little bit better to talk to camera, and after all, you know, this is the only thing that we can influence. So thanks so much for watching. It was so much fun to create something more personal like this. I'll see if I manage to record something on the race day. But for now, thank you guys for your support, and I'll see you on the next one.